The galaxy had known peace for 3,000 years. Across 100 star systems, alien civilizations flourished under the protection of the Galactic Council. The Council maintained order through diplomatic treaties and careful management of resources. War was a forgotten concept, relegated to ancient history files that few bothered to access anymore. Then humanity made contact. The alien delegation arrived at Earth's orbital station on a cold morning in March. Their ship, the Harmony's Voice, was a beautiful vessel of flowing metal and crystalline structures. It reflected humanity's moon like a mirror, catching the light in ways that Earth's telescopes had never seen before. Commander James Miller stood in the docking bay, hands clasped behind his back. He was a military man, 45 years old, with gray threading through his dark hair. Beside him stood Dr. Anna Wells, Earth's lead xenobiologist, and Ambassador Thomas Reed, who would handle the diplomatic talks. "They're coming through now," Anna whispered. The airlock hissed open. 3 figures emerged. The aliens were tall and slender, with skin that shimmered between blue and silver. Their eyes were large and dark, holding an intelligence that seemed both ancient and kind. They wore robes that moved like water, constantly shifting in color and pattern. The lead alien stepped forward and spoke through a translation device that hung at its chest. "Greetings, people of Earth. I am Ambassador Kalen of the Vryn species. We come in peace and friendship." Thomas Reed smiled and extended his hand. "Welcome to Earth, Ambassador. We are honored by your visit." The meeting went well. Too well, perhaps. Over the next 3 weeks, the aliens explained the galaxy to humanity. They spoke of the Council, of the hundreds of species that lived in harmony. They offered Earth membership, access to advanced technology, and protection under galactic law. There was only one condition. "You must dismantle your military forces," Kalen explained during the final negotiation. "The galaxy has moved beyond war. Violence is not permitted among Council members." The conference room fell silent. James Miller leaned forward in his chair. "All of our military? Every ship, every weapon?" "Yes, Commander," Kalen said gently. "We understand this is difficult, but peace requires sacrifice. Once you join the Council, you will be protected. There are no threats in the galaxy." Anna looked troubled. "What about defense? Surely we can keep something for emergencies." "There are no emergencies," another alien diplomat said. His name was Torin, and his voice carried absolute certainty. "The Council has maintained perfect peace for 3 millennia. Trust in our system." The debate raged for days. Politicians argued. Military leaders protested. Scientists calculated the benefits of alien technology against the cost of total disarmament. In the end, Earth's government agreed. The process took 6 months. Warships were decommissioned. Weapons were destroyed. Military bases were converted to civilian use. The aliens watched approvingly, praising humanity's wisdom and courage. James Miller watched from his apartment window as the last carrier was towed away from orbit. Something cold settled in his stomach. "We're making a mistake," he said to Anna, who had come to visit. "The Council has kept peace for 3,000 years, she replied, though her voice lacked conviction. "Maybe they know something we don't. Or maybe they've forgotten something we haven't." 3 months after Earth joined the Galactic Council, the first reports arrived. A mining colony on Titan, Saturn's largest moon, had gone silent. The Council sent an investigation team. What they found sent shockwaves through the galaxy. The colony hadn't malfunctioned. It hadn't been hit by an asteroid or suffered equipment failure. It had been attacked. Massive claw marks gouged through titanium walls. Strange biological matter was found throughout the facility. Every human was gone, taken or killed. The Council investigators found evidence of creatures they had never seen before. Monsters that came from the dark spaces between stars. The attacks spread. Another colony, then another. The creatures moved through the outer solar system like shadows, striking where they pleased. Earth called for help. The Council sent diplomatic envoys and observation teams. They held emergency meetings and formed committees to study the situation, but they sent no soldiers because they had none. The galaxy had forgotten how to fight. James Miller stood in an emergency session of Earth Security Council. His face was hard as stone, his eyes burning with something the aliens had not seen before. "Recall everyone from the Titan mining sector," he ordered. "Evacuate all civilian stations. And get me every retired military officer you can find. Commander, Ambassador Reed said nervously. The Council has forbidden. The Council can't help us, James interrupted. They don't remember war. But we do. He turned to face the window, looking out at the stars. It's time to remind the galaxy what humanity is capable of. The Council chamber orbited a neutron star, its walls made of transparent metal that showed the spinning light outside. 200 alien representatives sat in curved rows, their faces showing confusion and growing fear. Ambassador Kalen stood at the central platform, his silver skin now pale with stress. The situation is contained. We have sent peace envoys to communicate with these creatures. Surely we can reach an understanding. A representative from the moth species, a being covered in soft gray fur, spoke up. They have destroyed 12 colonies now. How many more before we admit these creatures cannot be reasoned with? Violence is never the answer, Torin insisted. We have maintained peace for 3,000 years. We will not abandon our principles now. In the back of the chamber, Ambassador Reed watched in disbelief. He tapped his communication device. James, are you hearing this? On Earth, James Miller sat in a bunker deep beneath Geneva. Around him, screens showed star maps and tactical displays. Retired generals and admirals filled the room, men and women who had thought their warfighting days were over. I hear it, James said. They're going to talk themselves to death. What do we do? Reed asked. We do what humans have always done, James replied. We survive. He turned to the assembled officers. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going back to war. But we can't do it the way we used to. We scrapped everything. So we build something new. An older woman, General Kate Ross, stepped forward. She had fought in the resource wars 40 years ago. With what? We have mining ships and cargo haulers. The Council took everything else. Then we turn mining ships into warships, James said. We mount weapons on cargo haulers. We make the Council think we're just defending our own system while we prepare something bigger. The creatures are spreading, another officer said. Reports show they've hit the outer rim colonies. They're moving toward more populated systems. James pulled up a holographic map. Red markers showed attack sites. They formed a pattern moving inward toward the galaxy's core. They're hunting, testing defenses, finding the weak points, one which is everywhere, Kate said grimly. The galaxy has no defenses. No, James corrected. The galaxy has us. Work began immediately. On Earth's moon, factories that once built passenger ships started producing something different. Mining lasers were modified into cutting weapons. Cargo haulers received armor plating. Communication satellites were turned into sensor networks. Anna Wells stood in a biology lab, studying tissue samples recovered from Titan. The material was unlike anything in Earth's databases. It was adaptive, able to survive in vacuum and extreme temperatures. These creatures are perfect predators, she told James during a video call. They can sense heat, movement, even electrical fields. They're smart enough to cut power systems first, then attack in darkness. Weaknesses? James asked. They don't like certain frequencies of sound, and their tissue breaks down rapidly when exposed to specific radiation wavelengths. She paused. James, where did these things come from? Why now? I don't know, but I intend to find out. 6 weeks after the Titan attack, the creatures hit their first major target. The planet Vela was home to 40 million aliens from the feather species. They were peaceful beings, artists and philosophers who had never known violence. Their world was beautiful, covered in floating gardens and crystal towers. The creatures came at night. By morning, Vela was silent. The Council received the transmission 3 days later. The images showed destruction on a scale that shocked every species. The crystal towers were shattered. The gardens burned. The people were gone. Kalen stood before the Council, his hands shaking. We must evacuate the nearby systems. Pull everyone back to the core worlds where we have stronger observation networks. And then what? Someone shouted. We watch from a distance while these monsters take everything? We will find a peaceful solution, Kalen insisted, but his voice cracked. Ambassador Reed stood up. There is no peaceful solution. These creatures don't want peace. They want to feed. Then what do you suggest? Torin demanded. That we become like them? That we embrace violence and destruction? Reed looked directly at Kalen. I suggest you let Earth do what it does best. And what is that? Kalen asked. Fight. The chamber erupted in arguments. Some aliens supported the idea. Others were horrified. They had spent 3,000 years building a civilization without war. But deep in Earth's system, James Miller wasn't waiting for permission. The first human warship in 6 months launched from Mars orbit. It was crude compared to the old fleet, built from mining equipment and salvaged parts, but it was armed, crewed, and ready for battle. James named it the Titan's Revenge. "Let's show them what happens when you attack humanity," he said. The creatures came to Mars 3 weeks later. They arrived in a swarm, hundreds of dark shapes moving through space like oil spreading across water. Their bodies absorbed light, making them nearly invisible against the black void. Only their heat signatures gave them away. James Miller stood on the bridge of the Titan's Revenge, watching the sensors light up with red markers. Around him, his crew worked in tense silence. Most were young volunteers who had never seen combat, but their eyes held determination. "All ships battle positions," James ordered. "Remember your training. Stay in formation and watch your sectors." Earth had managed to build 17 ships in total. They were small, awkward vessels compared to the elegant alien craft. But they had something the galaxy had forgotten: weapons designed to kill. The creatures struck first, launching themselves at the nearest human ship. They moved fast, impossibly fast, their claws extended to tear through metal. "Fire," James commanded. The Titan's Revenge opened up with modified mining lasers. Bright beams cut through space, catching 3 creatures. They screamed, a sound that transmitted through radio frequencies, and their bodies broke apart. But more kept coming. One landed on the hull of a cargo hauler turned warship. The crew inside could hear the scraping, the tearing of metal. Then the sound stopped. The creature had found the airlock. "Seal internal bulkheads," the captain ordered. "Prepare for boarding." The creature burst through. It was massive, 10 feet tall with 6 limbs ending in razor claws. Its head was eyeless but covered in sensory organs. It moved through the corridor, hunting. A young soldier named Jack Park stepped out from a side passage. He held a weapon that Anna Wells had designed, one that fired concentrated radiation pulses. "Hey, ugly," Jack said. "Wrong ship," he fired. The pulse hit the creature square in its chest. It shrieked and stumbled back, its tissue breaking down. Jack fired again and again until it collapsed. "Boarding threat neutralized," the captain reported. Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out. The humans fought with a ferocity that surprised even themselves. Ships that were damaged rammed into clusters of creatures. Crew members in spacesuits used improvised weapons to fight off boarders. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it ended, 3 human ships were destroyed. 2 more were badly damaged. But the creatures were gone, driven back, or killed. Mars was safe. News of the victory spread through the galaxy within hours. The council chamber was in chaos. Representatives argued, shouted, and demanded explanations. How had humanity succeeded where the council had failed? Kalen stood at the center platform, watching a recording of the battle. The violence disturbed him deeply. Ships exploding, creatures dying, humans cheering as they killed, but they had won. "This is not our way," Torn said firmly. "Violence only breeds more violence." "Violence stopped the creatures," Ambassador Reed countered. "Your way resulted in Vela's destruction. Our way saved Mars." An elder from the stone species spoke up. She was ancient, her rocky body covered in moss and lichen. Perhaps we have been wrong. We built peace by forgetting war. But some things in the universe do not understand peace." "You would have us become killers?" Kalen asked. "No," the elder replied. "We would have humanity remember what we forgot, so that the rest of us do not have to." The vote was close, but it passed. Earth was given special authority to build a military force, to train other species who volunteered, to defend the galaxy. But there was fear in the chamber, fear of what humanity might become with such power. James Miller didn't care about politics. He cared about the map on his screen, showing more creature sightings appearing every day. The Mars battle had been a victory, but it was just the beginning. "They're testing us," Kate Ross said, standing beside him. "That wasn't their full force." "I know," James replied. "They wanted to see how we fight, what our capabilities are. So what's next?" James zoomed out on the star map. Deep in unexplored space, sensors showed a massive heat signature, something huge moving slowly toward the galaxy's edge. "We find out where they come from," he said, "and we end this threat before they can launch a real attack." Anna Wells entered the command center holding a data pad. "James, you need to see this." I've been analyzing their biology. These creatures, they're not random. Someone made them. James turned to face her. What do you mean, made them? They're biological weapons, Anna said quietly. And whoever created them is still out there. The room fell silent. Somewhere in the darkness between stars, something ancient watched the galaxy. It had sent its children to test the defenses, to prepare the way, and now it knew about humanity. The real war was about to begin.